So the topic tonight is Shavuot. Shavuot, learning on Shavuot. We're going to learn the whole night, and we're not going to sleep. So the question is, what do you do about the morning when you get to Birchas HaTorah? So we have to, every morning we say the bracha, which is, it's like a Birchas HaMitzvahs. It's like before you take a lulav, you make a bracha. You say, Sheki D'Shanu V'Sitzit Tzanu on the Tilas Lulav, and then we shake it. So to here, before we learn Torah, every morning we say a bracha, which is allowing us to learn Torah. That is it's a bracha before the actual mitzvah, and it's the first thing before we learn Torah. We can't learn Torah without it. The Shulchan Aruch says actually that a person has to be careful. Look on the bottom left corner. The bottom left corner brings the Shavuot Prep that if Birchas Torah tzarich lizor, you have to be very careful in Birchas Torah. And what does he say? The Mishnah Berurah explains tzarich lizor b'zemoid shalai lilmoid ad sheyivarech. On the bottom left corner, he just says this idea that you have to say Birchas Torah the first thing in the morning before you learn. So based on that, we now come that Shavuot morning we're going to be up the whole night. So the question is, do you make another Birchas Torah Shavuos right after you learned all night? You never went to sleep. So maybe you don't have to make a new bracha because you were up straight. You were learning the whole time. You never had a hefsek. For example, let's say you have a talis on or your tefillin on, and the talis is on straight the whole day. So as long as you keep it on, as long as you have your tefillin on and you don't take your mind off of the talis and the tefillin, so the bracha is in progress, and you still keep on wearing it. You don't have to make a new bracha. As long as you're still wearing the talis and tefillin, your bracha continues. Now, how long does it continue for? Here, you never took your mind off of the Torah, so you never went to sleep. If you go to sleep, right? If you go to sleep, you take off your talis and you go to sleep, so you take your mind off it. It's called hesach das. Hesach hadas means you took your mind off of the mitzvah. And once you take your mind off of the mitzvah, you lose the bracha. The bracha is only valid as long as you're still engrossed and you know what you're doing. So the question is, by Torah, when we're up a whole night, we never took our mind off of the Torah. So maybe we don't lose the bracha of Sheki D'Shanu V'Sitzit Tzanu la'asoik b'divrei Torah. Maybe that never went off. So and then you wouldn't have to make a bracha the next morning. Which leads us to it's a big controversy every Shavuot morning, wherever you are. They're always looking for someone who will say the brachas for everyone. And they're always searching out for someone who will volunteer to say the brachas. And even though they have a whole night to plan it out, but the problem is somehow when it comes time to brachas, there's always some mix-up, and maybe because the person who agreed, he doesn't want to go up there, because if he goes up there, what is he doing when he goes up there? That means he's saying, I slept during Shavuot night. Because the idea is that once you sleep, then you have to make Birchas Torah according to everyone. So people are embarrassed to go up there and say Birchas Torah, because that means that they slept at Shavuot night. No one wants to be guilty of sleeping at Shavuot night. So therefore it's a little bit tough to convince someone, even if he did sleep, it's hard to get someone to admit it. Even if he admits it, he won't want to come and go up there. Yes?
Isn't there, you can study during the night, but there's a minimum number of hours that you can sleep in order to qualify to say Birchas Torah, right?
There's a minimum number of amount of sleep. If you sleep for a half hour, then you have slept. If you sleep in a bed for a half hour, right, a good sleep, that's called a shinas keva. Keva means from kavua, from the word kavua, to be set. If you have a good sleep in a bed for a half hour, you're right. During the night, then you're set. Then you're set. You can make Birchas Torah because that's a real hesach hadas. You took your mind off of the Torah or anything, and you are out to.
So it's not such a shameful thing. You studied all night long and you sleep for a half hour.
Yeah, but people try to do the Zohar. The Zohar says that anyone who stays up and learns the whole night, he's guaranteed, I believe, that either What's the promise? The promise either that he won't do an favor that year or he'll live that year. One of the two is his promise. Anyone who stays up a whole night, good things will happen to him that year. So therefore, no one wants to be guilty of sleeping like all the little kids. They come there, early. They want to stay up a whole night. Because there's an idea of not sleeping even for a half hour, because if you slept, then the whole idea is to fix up what we did on Shavuot back when we got the Torah. That we came late, we were sleeping. So the Jews slept in, so therefore we try to stay up a whole night that we won't come to that problem.
What happens if you go to sleep after you have your Suda? You sleep for, so say it's over at 11. Your Suda at 10:30.
So if you sleep at 10:30, it's already night.
10:30 to midnight, say. But then you get up and you come to shul till early.
Yeah, but the Zohar seems to say a whole night. And although you might might quickly come home and eat quickly, but the idea is to get to learn. You could get to learn faster if you get finish up.
But what you said, right? It might be that you have to make a bracha before you start learning when you go to the running program. In which case,
so we're going to go into
that question
right now.
Because
so we're going to get into that question now. If a person does go to sleep in the beginning of the night, then he'll have to make a birchas Torah when he comes back.
But it's not a new day yet.
Right. So now we have to go into this idea. What is the obligation? What obligates me in birchas Torah? So the first thing is that there's a taisus on the top. Now I just copied it on the right side. I wrote a number 1. I copied it just so you should have it for future reference at a later date. But the taisus is, I brought down what's relevant to us. This is beautiful taisus at brachas, Daf Yud Aleph and Beis. And taisus here goes into the idea of when you should make brachas. And he says this idea. I copied it on the left side, top left-hand corner by number 2. And there he says the following words. Rabbeinu Tam used to say that when a person gets up from his bed at night, this is your case, he goes to sleep for a few hours and he wakes up in the middle of the night, whether it will be at 11:30 or 2, and he wants to learn, he wants to learn. He doesn't have
to say bracha.
Rabbeinu Tam. This is Rabbeinu Tam. This is not, we're going to come up with one more view who argues. But Rabbeinu Tam said you don't have to. He says that you made Birchas HaTorah in the morning. So it's like Birchas HaTorah goes a full day and including the night. Usually in the Jewish law we do the night and the day follows the night. On Shavuot, in reference to this bracha takes you the whole day and the night following the day. Okay, this is the flip side. Here we have the night follow the day, and you made the bracha in the morning. So that bracha follows you a whole day, and it follows you as it gets dark. Tonight, you are now still allowed to learn because of the bracha in the morning. That bracha continues on until tomorrow morning at Alois HaShachar. Once it reaches daybreak tomorrow morning, you have a new obligation to make a new Birchas Torah to take you for the next 24 hours. That's where Rabbeinu Tam holds. Yes. Is that good? Is that clear?
Yeah.
It's a new idea. The Rabbeinu Tam, he puts this in the group of, like Birchas HaShachar. We say, Hashem, Baruch Atah Hashem Lakeinu Melech Pokeach Ivrim. So he says this bracha of Birchas Torah goes into that group. It's that they said, the Chachamim said, you have to make Birchas Torah. The Gemara Brachas learns out that Birchas Torah, it's even it's from the Torah, this mitzvah. Right? The Rambam, they quote this as one of the 613 mitzvahs. They have to say Birchas Torah, and it's right before you learn. And that mitzvah, when is it? When is the obligation? So Rabbeinu Tam says it's once a day. Once a day in the morning. It takes you throughout the whole day and throughout that whole night. And then you got to restart up the battery again the next morning.
So what's the oral Torah because normally, like you said, it starts at night once a day. So why can't you say it at night and that'll carry you through the whole day, even while you wake up?
So the question is, right? How does he get these boundaries? How does he say that it takes you so far And there's another question. How could you explain, let's say someone takes his mind off and he goes to sleep. Let's say he goes to sleep in the middle of the day.
Right.
Middle of the day.
You take your talis off, you have to say another bracha when you put it back on.
That's very good. When you take your talis off, you lose that bracha for the mitzvah, and you have to make a new bracha if you want to put your talis back on. If you took your mind off of it, right? If you took your mind off of it, right, it gets technical.
Actually, if you deliberately take it off, if it falls off,
so if it falls off,
you have to say another bracha.
so, right, if he didn't have in mind, and it falls off, and then so he lost the bracha right there. So why here is the bracha continue throughout the day? So on that is an interesting Shulchan Aruch. Look, let's skip down to number 5. Shulchan Aruch says, "Im hifsik mililmai," that if you see number 5, if he stopped learning and he took a break, v'nis asik basaka, the Shulchan Aruch in Siman Mem Zayin, which is Hilchos Birchas HaTorah, Sifyu, and he writes that if you stop learning, since your mindset is I'm going to go back to learn, then it's not called an interruption, because you want to go back to learn. It's like you go swimming and you take off your tzitzis because you want to go swimming. So when you get back after the swim, you want to put back on your tzitzis. So should you make a new bracha on the tzitzis, or is your still bracha, your old bracha is in effect? When swimming in between, the answer is that your bracha is in effect because you took it off with that in mind. You never made fiachtas. You never took your mind off of the tzitzis. You said, I'm taking it off for a few minutes, like to go to the bathroom. I'm going swimming. I'm going to put it back on. My original bracha is still on hold. I never totally took my mind off of it. I put it on hold. So therefore, their Shulchan Aruch quotes this Tosfos. Well, he's going to be explaining this, and the Shulchan Aruch is saying, you never took your mind off of learning. The whole day, your mind is on learning. So really, you're not Mesiach Das. You never take your mind off of learning, even if you go to business. But what do you do when you're at business, right? You're dreaming. Oh, I'm going to make my money. I'm going to go back home and I'm going to go to learn. What does a person want? The Chavetz Chaim, he had to make a certain amount of money each day. So he went to his business. He would sell different type of different things, like a Walmart store. Different things he sold. Salt, sugar. He weighed out. And when he made enough money to carry him through the next day, he would close his store. It wasn't hours. He didn't have hours in those days. He had morning hours. But everyone knew when he made enough money for that day, he closed his store and went home to learn. So the idea is, says the Shulchan Aruch, and I'll show you Tosfos. Tosfos also says this, is that your mind is always, I'm going to learn. It's just, I have to, right now, make a few dollars just to get me throughout the day. I got to pay the rent. So I got to do all these, all the expenses. But I really want to go back and learn Torah. So as soon as I make enough money, Hashem's going to send me money. Then I'll just lock up my store. Okay, I work till 5. I'll work till 5. Then I'll go home and I'll go learn. Look at Tosfos for 1 minute, because Tosfos here he hints to this idea in the beginning. That's why it's lucky I copied this on the right side on the top. You see where I wrote it in? I wrote it in a little bit. I stenciled it in, like, let's say 15 lines from the bottom. There. It says V'im Toimar. The first word line is Ha Torah. It's 5 lines above the word V'Hagisa. Right over here. Over here it should be. So it says over there. You got that? Over here. Here. It should be V'im Toimar. Right over here. V'im Toimar. So here he asked the question. We make one Birchas Torah once a day, right? You got that? So right over here, V'im Toimar.
But what about shul? Something changed, like legitimize people. When in bracha house, how can they stay?
Here, V'im Toimar. So Tosfos asked V'im Toimar, Mai Shna Me Sukkah. Sukkah is different than Torah. Sukkah, you make a bracha Shetzarach Levarach Al Kol Suda Leishiv Sukkah. You go out of your sukkah and you go to your work. Right? First you have breakfast in your sukkah, you make a bracha right away, leishiv sukkah. Then you go to work, you come back, you want to have supper, you have to make a new bracha on the sukkah. So why by sukkah you have to make a few brachas of leishiv sukkah each time you go in again? But by Birchas HaTorah you make one bracha, and that carries you a whole day and a whole night. Why is sukkah different than Torah?
It's a physical thing to go into a sukkah. Literally go into the sukkah. You're going in to eat in the sukkah, even to have to eat in the sukkah. So,
what's the difference if it's physical or not? Either way, that's the mitzvah is to do a physical action, and this is a mitzvah to learn, which is a little bit.
If you're physically outside of the sukkah, you're physically you left. Yeah, that's right. You're physically out of it. Whereas you may always be kind of thinking in terms of thoughts, even if you're doing some sort of business or you're in some sort of work.
Let's see Tosis. Let's see if this is what Tosis answers. V'yesh loymar. Look at Tosis' answer 3 lines above where I wrote it in, where I stenciled it in. V'yesh loymar the shani Torah. Torah is different. She'ena miyayish daiton. You never give up hope of learning Torah. D'chol shah adam mechuyev. Every hour is a person has an obligation to learn Torah. Because it says the famous pasuk v'hagisa ba yomam v'layla. It says you have to hagisa. You should be thinking in Torah a whole day and a whole night. Right. So that's there's a minimum and a maximum of how much you should be learning. So the maximum, right, that you should learn, right, you cannot learn more than this amount. The maximum is v'hagisa ba yomam v'layla. Day and night. Day and night is the maximum. That's how much you're allowed to learn Torah. You can't learn more than that. And the minimum, you have to make sure at least a little bit every day, right? At least say a little bit of Torah. So he says, but you should try to do you should try to do day and night. So it's like you're sitting there and learning a whole day. You might have to stop for a few minutes to go do business, but the obligation is there on you a whole day. But he says by sukkah, there's set times when you eat. So there's set times when you go in. So then you want to eat. I want to eat in the sukkah then. But the other times I want to go out, I want to go to the park, I want to go to my business. So there I don't want to be in the sukkah that exact minute. I want to eat. When I eat, I go in the sukkah. But other times I don't want to especially be in my sukkah.
Okay, we have to live in the sukkah day and night.
What?
Yeah, we don't say
right, because the idea is patient to do it. You have to live there the way you live in your house. And in your house you go out to go to shul. Right? That's why we don't daven in a sukkah. Because even on sukkahs, even in the year, we go out of our house to go to shul. So by sukkahs we also don't daven in the sukkah. We go out, right, to go to anything you do in your house, you go out. So you go out also in the sukkah. So there he doesn't want to per se be in the sukkah 24 hours a day. When he eats and when he sleeps, right? Or you should try to spend all your time in the sukkah. You get a mitzvah every minute. But some people, if they want to go to business, they go out. So therefore, he left the sukkah. It's not an obligation 24 hours be in the sukkah. But by Torah, the obligation is yom v'layla. Just sometimes he has to go out. He has to do business. He has to go out. So he has it in the back of his head. As soon as I can get back to learning, I'll get back to learning. So the bracha is on hold, and it's still in progress. The bracha in progress a whole day. Look a little further. I want to show you back to the Shulchan Aruch how he says this. The Shulchan Aruch number 5. It says, if you stop learning, and you go into your business, so since you want to go back to learn, and your mindset is to go back to learn, it's not an interruption. Right. So now you might ask, yeah, but that's if you want to go back to learn. Let's say you don't want to go back to learn. So the Taz, right on the spot, asked the question. It seems, from here, let's say a person does not want to go back to learn. Let's say, the example is he has a specific time. He learns every morning after he davens for an hour. And then he knows he got his learning in, he knows at least he learned today. But the rest of the day, he knows he has to go to business. So he plans that he won't be able to learn the rest of the day. He thinks that's how his schedule will give him it won't allow him to learn. And all of a sudden, one day, he sees that the boss said you're off for the rest of the day. 12 o'clock, the boss let him out. So now he has off. His dam in life. It just came out to him a new time slot for that day. But now he's off. He's off. He can't do business now for the next few hours. We'll be turned back, and because of this, now he wants to come back and learn. So what's the din on that? It would seem from the words of Shulchan Aruch that he would have to make a new bracha, because the Shulchan Aruch said, because he had the mindset to go back and learn. What would be like if someone who planned on not learning because he thought his schedule would not allow him to, and now all of a sudden his boss gave him a break. So it seems like he has to make a bracha. It's like he just decided out of the blue, I'm going to learn, right? So that's a new decision, should require a new bracha. Right? So on that the Taz says, no. But the truth is, that's not the way it is. The reason is, she'ein hefsik mafsid klum. This that you make an interruption does not make you lose your bracha. Mitam. The reason is, shechayav lilmaid tamid. The chiyuv of learning always is roivetelav, is crouching on top of him. He has obligation from Shemayim every minute, that if he's able to, he should learn. Ella, the only thing is that he has tirdus. Sometimes people have things that they have to take care of. They have to eat, they have to drink, they have to sleep.
So it's not like that you take your mind off.
Right.
Because that's not the
obligation never leaves.
It's that the obligation has never left you, because you may very well take your mind off.
Right.
What if you're in a car accident, or God forbid something happens?
Right.
You know, and all of a sudden, all you can think about is helping that person or whatever the emergency might be.
Right.
Well, you're not thinking of learning in that moment, right?
We have the 6 constant mitzvahs. That's not considered limud if you're thinking that way.
So the question is, if you do those, if you think about that, that is a mitzvah of emunah. If you think about emunah, it's a mitzvah of emunah. If you think about the next year of Shemayim, you get a mitzvah of year of Shemayim. But the question is, he's asking if that's limud Torah, so it depends what you're doing. If you're thinking that Hashem made the world, emunah, Hashem is right here, Hashem's making the table stand up, Hashem's with me every minute of the day, why am I davening here? Who am I davening to? Hashem's right here, He's listening to every word I'm saying. That's emunah. You get a mitzvah, asay, of having emunah. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a mitzvah, asay, of learning Torah.
Well, how do you define that?
Define what? Learning Torah?
Yeah.
Learning Torah is when you learn Torah, when you think whether it will be one of the Chamishe Chumshei Torah. What do you think of the Chumash? What do you think in the Gemara? What do you think of an interesting idea in Torah? It has to be Torah. It has to be somewhere on that bookcase that it's a Gemara. It's a question on a Gemara. It's a Taisvis. It's a question on a pasuk. I don't know what Shema means. Shema Yisrael. Hashem Elokeinu. What's Shema? Shema Yisrael. Who's Yisrael? So think about that. Who's Yisrael? Is that all the Jews? Am I talking to someone? I have to say it loud. Are they listening? What does Shema mean? Does it mean to listen? That's Torah.
Yes, conducting yourself all day in, what are my obligations for Muna? Would this be stealing if I did this? Am I ignoring this person as it's, knocked down the cuffs loose? Now, their whole mind is constantly involved.
That's good. So it depends what it's thinking about. If you're thinking about, is this Geneva? Let's say someone offers you something and you think it's a little shady business. So you're thinking, what is this? Am I allowed? What is his das? What is his mindset? He thinks I'm really not going to get this. And so you think into the laws of Geneva, that's Torah. If you think it depends what you think about. If you think
that's applying Torah.
That's applying Torah.
That's not necessarily learning Torah.
But if you think through the emotions, think through the Gemara and apply it, that will be Torah. But it depends what you think about. If you think about Emunah, and you think about, if you have a question, you think of to yourself, is this Emunah, is this Torah to think, let's say that Hashem is right in front of me? Right? You could think, is that part of Emunah? That could be part of Torah. But if you just think Hashem is right in front of me, and that's mitzvah of Emunah. Hashem's here. I'm right in front of Him. I'm doing mitzvahs in front of Hashem. Hashem is watching, and I'm only doing it because Hashem is asking me to do this. That's called Emunah. Thinking about that. And if it affects your decisions, that's also Emunah. If you think, what does Hashem want me to do? That's also Emunah. Torah is when you actually take the words of Torah and start working at it in it. Right? Shema Yisrael. You're talking to everyone around you. I want them to listen. I'm telling them to accept the kingdom of Hashem. That's already Torah when you start to work with the words of Torah. Or think about it outside. That already is Torah. Or if you think about what the Gemara is saying, what does it mean? Why is there an obligation to learn? How much is the obligation to learn? That already is Torah. That's the difference.
When you say what bracha should I say, isn't this shakol? Is this that's not Torah?
So just thinking what bracha is depends what your mind is thinking when you make that. Depends what goes through your mind as you think what bracha to make. If you're thinking just what is this rice? Okay, let me think back. The rabbi told me rice and crackers are besides. So that would probably not be Torah. That would just be halacha, what I have to do. I'm not sure. That's maybe. But if you're thinking, well, what is this? It's rice. What was it? It's from the 5 grains. Now, it's rice mixed with vegetables. What's the ikr? What's the tuffle? But you're thinking to the main thing. Well, the tuffle are vegetables. I don't want it. And we learn out that if you just, let's say you dip your bread in salt, you eat bread just to get rid of the salty taste. That's ikr, and this is tuffle. And after, if you apply like that, that would be Torah. That's a good question. If you think it could be the basic halacha, could be Torah also. I'm not sure.
But the intent of the question is to say that you never turn that faculty off. You're always ready to think about Torah. You're always ready to think, is this, how, you're always ready to match your behavior to what you learned and to apply Torah. And so you don't turn that off. Like no one would think, okay, I'm now going to have a free period of no Torah. And that's really our issue. It's not whether you happen to be learning at that moment. It's whether you said to yourself, I'm now removing myself from learning and I'm doing something completely different.
Right.
And no one would really think that if they thought it through. They say, I'm never removing myself from learning.
No, there are exceptions, but in general not.
Yeah.
But the question is he learning in that minute? In these minutes when he has to be in business, he's not actually learning.
But is that the question we asked? Isn't it the question that he's setting himself away from learning? Isn't that the whole issue we have? That he's turned himself off from learning? Did he really?
So the answer is he never took his mind off of learning. It's like he goes swimming. When he goes swimming for the tzitzis, he wants to really wear a tzitzis now, and he says, I'm just taking it off for a few minutes. So he's keeping his mind on the tzitzis. Maybe subconsciously when he goes swimming, he's not thinking about the tzitzis, but subconsciously he says, I want the bracha still, and I want to put them on at the earliest moment, so the bracha is still in effect. So do the Torah. The Torah is still in effect, the bracha, because you want to learn now. You can't because you are busy now for these few minutes. But the Torah, the obligation is still on you, and therefore the bracha is still in effect, even if you take your mind off.
So that the obligation is still on you. It's not that whether it's off your mind, on your mind.
Right. That's what the Taz is. Right.
So I think, yeah.
That's exactly what the Taz says.
Distinction you're making.
Right. You're saying because the obligation is still on you, therefore the bracha is still in effect.
It's not like, because when you're swimming, you're maybe not really thinking consciously of tzitzis, right? But the obligation is still on you. You just made a hesed. Because you're swimming, so you can't swim with tzitzis.
Right. That's the difference. He's saying the Taz is bringing that down. That the obligation is on you, so therefore it's like the bracha is still in progress. Then he brings down another idea, this other idea after the 2 dots here in number 5. Visu. Also, Adarabba, the opposite. Amrinan, we say the Vistama who daitai the Vizdamin if it will happen, they'll be able to learn. The second idea is you might have thought in the front of your mind that I'm not learning for the rest of the day. But in the back of your mind, every Jew tells himself that if I get off a few minutes, I will learn. That's a subconscious and very, very maybe in the back of his head. But he says, every Jew says, I really want to learn, and if he'll get a few minutes, he'll learn. Therefore, even if he says in the front of his mind, I'm not learning anymore today, subconsciously he really has in mind. These are 2 ideas. So based on these 2 ideas, if you stop learning for a few minutes, but your bracha is still in effect a whole day, this is Shita of Taisus. Yes.
Go to sleep. They wake up in the middle of the night.
Yes. Now, when you go to sleep, so now it's a big question. Let's say you go to sleep. So the first thing we have Tosfos. Tosfos says they enacted that the proper time to make the bracha is once a day in the morning. And it goes with this whole idea that the bracha will be in effect because your mindset is still on it and your obligation is the whole day, but the bracha is in effect. But there's one time that you make a bracha. The top words on the left side, the top words number 2. Rabbeinu Tam said that only one time do you make the bracha in the day. Vayayim Rabbeinu Tam kisha'adam made me mitasai b'layla lilmai. If you get up from your bed in the middle of the night, she'ein tarach levarach brachas haTorah. Middle of the night, you don't have to make a bracha. You wake up 3 in the morning, Rabbeinu Tam says you don't have to. Because you made it yesterday, Shavuot, in the morning.
It's like with the tzitzis and the swimming. It's the same idea, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's in progress, and it's poteris. It patters you at Shavuot Acheres. Rabbeinu Tam said, we can't stop before, because Rabbeinu Tam, the first view, we have to see the second view. Rabbeinu Tam said there was a one-time obligation to make that blessing in the morning. And that obligation carries over a whole day for 24 hours. And therefore he says, let's say you wake up at 3 in the morning, Rabbeinu Tam says, you don't make a bracha, because your bracha is still in progress. It has nothing to do with sleep, nothing to do with taking your mind off, because your obligation is on you. That's the first view. Comes along the second view, number 3, is the Rosh. Rabbeinu Asher. The Rosh holds, number 3, that if a person sleeps a big sleep, a real sleep, and it gets into his bed by day or by night, the point is, it's keva, it's a real sleep on his bed. Bed makes it that it's keva, not just on his elbows, he just dozes off, puts his head down. That's not a real sleep, have a hefsek. He says it's a hefsek. The Rosh says, I don't know, the Rosh doesn't know any of these ideas, that the obligation is on him for a whole day, and it's in progress, and he never takes his mind off it subconsciously. The Rosh says, as soon as you take your mind off of it, really take your mind off of it, make a hefsek, like going to sleep in your bed, and there you drift off, you're out. That is a hefsek. You have to make a new Berachas HaTorah when you wake up. Even if it's by day. It doesn't matter day or night, the point is bed. The point is, are you out to sleep? Then you lost your bracha, you got to make a new Berachas HaTorah, whether it will be in the middle of the day, whether it will be in the middle of the night, wakes up 3 in the morning, the Rosh says you got to make it the bracha because you took your mind off. Your bracha is out, it's finished, it's cut off.
So according to the Rosh, then you stay up all night on Shavuos, then you have to make a new bracha. But according to Rabbeinu Tam, if you stay up all the night learning,
the Rosh said if you stay up all night,
you would still be able to say the bracha.
Why?
Because you're supposed to. Every morning you're supposed to say the bracha.
Oh, but that was Tosfos. That was Rabbeinu Tam.
That's what I just said. Yeah.
What's Rabbeinu Tam, who says that they made one enactment to make it every morning,
regardless whether you sleep or not.
Regardless whether you stayed up all night or not.
Right.
So you didn't have the problem in the morning of Shavuos who hasn't slept.
Right.
Who slept.
Excellent. Because Rabbeinu Tam says, I don't know anything about sleeping. It's going to be...
So obviously we hold by the Rosh.
Rosh. Right. Rosh. So Rabbeinu Tam says, I don't know anything about sleeping. Even if you wake up 3 in the morning and you slept a real good sleep for 5 hours, you still have to wait till the morning, according to Rabbeinu Tam, to make a bracha. The Rosh says, no, it all depends on sleeping, on your mindset. If you take your mind off, you got to make a new Berachas HaTorah. And this is brought down, the 2 views are brought down in number 4 in the Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch brings both of them down. He says, Shinas Keva Bayom, number 4. If you sleep a real sleep in your bed by day, I'll be Tasai, on his bed, have a hefsek. The first view is the hefsek, that's the Rosh. Some say delay have a hefsek. Some say no, it's not a hefsek. He says, and we act like this, that during the day, if a person sleeps by day, we do not make a new Berachas HaTorah after. Let's say a person goes to sleep for 5 hours, Shavuos morning, right? You made Berachas HaTorah in the morning, and then you go to sleep for 5 hours, you don't make a new Berachas HaTorah. That's how they. So he brings 2 views down.
Is there one view that it's not a hefsek? Does anyone say it's not a hefsek?
So no. So the view would be.
It says you only have to make a bracha once a day. It doesn't say it's not a hefsek.
Do you want to know why does he call it the delay of a hefsek?
Right.
So so he would hold like Rabbeinu Tam that since there's an obligation on you, so it's like you're still in progress.
Okay.
So what comes out? So comes along the Rebbe Akiva Eiger. Rebbe Akiva Eiger says, so what will be for Shavuos by night? So Rebbe Akiva Eiger says, here comes up Shavuos morning. Look at Rebbe Akiva Eiger. This is one of the most big yesodis, big foundations. Number 7. And while you're yashiv bayetz, it comes like this. Let's say a person goes to sleep. Right. So let's first take a regular day. Shavuos. you stay up a whole night. So now it seems like if you stay up a whole night, it should be an argument. According to the Rush, it depends. He did not go to sleep. He didn't go to sleep, so in the morning he cannot make a bracha of Birchas Torah. According to the Rabbeinu Tam, comes morning, he could make a bracha. It's a new morning. The Rabbanim were masakin every day. Says Rabbi Akiva Eiger, but let's say he went to sleep the day before Shavuot. Erev Shavuot. Erev Shavuot, everyone has the old-time custom, it's an unofficial custom of going to sleep so you can be up Shavuot by night. So if you go to sleep Shavuot the day before Shavuot, and then you stay up a whole Shavuot night, says Rabbi Akiva Eiger, you're covered. You got a catch-22 that you can make Birchas HaTorah Shavuot morning. Why? Because let's go like either one. According to the Rush, you have to sleep, and if you sleep, you make an interruption. So you slept the day before. You slept Erev Shavuot. Erev Shavuot, you had a good sleep in your bed for 2 hours, so that cut off the bracha. Right? Okay, so therefore, according to the Rush, you have to make Birchas HaTorah. According to Rabbeinu Tam, it depends on the morning. Okay, when it reaches Shavuot morning, you can make a bracha. Says Rabbi Akiva Eiger, either way, if you slept the day before Shavuot, you can make a bracha Shavuot morning. Asks the David an excellent question. But if he goes to sleep, Erev Shavuot, the day before Shavuot. So according to the Rush, he made a hefsek. How could he learn a whole Shavuot night for all those hours? How's he going to learn? The answer is, but on the other hand, it's an argument. So we hold that if you sleep by day, being that's an argument, what to do? We don't make Birchas HaTorah ever if you sleep during the day. So it would be an argument. So Safek Brachos Lahakol, question of if you make a bracha or not. So Lahakol, if you could be lenient, we don't make a bracha. So therefore, even though it's not by day, we'll say that's only the Rush. But Rabbeinu Tam argues, don't make a bracha. But when he gets to Shavuot morning, then it's the case that you got on both accounts, he will be held that he has to make a bracha. Says Rabbi Akiva Eiger, so you should have to make a bracha. If you sleep on Erev Shavuot, then you're covered. Now, it's an interesting idea. Everyone still looks for someone who slept by night, because there is a view that holds that the Chazon Ish, he argues on this Rabbi Akiva Eiger. Right? Chazon Ish says no, but even if you sleep by day, sleeping by day is not a sleep, it's not a Shinas Keva. Shinas Keva means you get into your bed with your pajamas and you really go to sleep. What do you call the sleep you do during the day? It's a nap.
Unless you're a shift worker.
Yeah, unless you're
right. If you're a shift worker, then we're going to have to speak about that in 1 minute. But a nap, says the Chazon Ish, he argues with Rabbi Akiva Eiger. He says, no, the nap is not called a that doesn't break your breath. So that's a temporary nap. That's not keva. Keva is when you get in pajamas, you get into bed, and you're out for a few hours. So therefore, I'm just trying to explain to you why people are still looking for someone who slept during the night. Because they say, maybe the Chazon Ish is right. The Chazon Ish holds you need to really sleep by night to make Birchas HaTorah, according to the Rush, because you got to really...
It's not a real sleep if you slept during the day.
That's the view of the Chazon Ish. But in any event, so this is the idea. And I'll just leave you with the Vilna Gaon. The Vilna Gaon, how much did he sleep? So on the bottom I wrote that the Vilna Gaon, his son wrote that his father, just to watch his father, he didn't sleep too much. In 50 years, he didn't sleep by night more than a half hour at a time. He would not sleep more than a half hour. So, based on that, the question is, how did the Vilna Gaon ever make Birchas HaTorah? When did he have that hefsek of Shina Keva? So, according to Rabbeinu Tam, excellent. According to Rabbeinu Tam, he could make a bracha. But what with the Vilna Gaon did, he also wanted to do the Rush. He was very stringent. He probably tried to do the Rush. But you have to say that according to Vilna Gaon, that was a Shinas Keva for him. For him, that going to sleep for that half hour, that was his sleep. That was when he went out, he was out. That was his sleep that he needed to refuel for the day. Or however long that took him. I think he took it in increments, half hour every few hours he would do another half hour. So that's Shinas Keva, and therefore he could make 2 Birchas HaTorah. This is the idea how to take it into and the person has to, just be aware for all these cases, but you can apply it. It's very easy to apply it. This is Rebbe Akiva Eiger, and the Mishnah Berurah brings this Rebbe Akiva Eiger down. You just have to bear it in mind how it goes. So there are 3 levels if you want to know from Birchas HaTorah, Shavuos morning. The best level is to have someone who slept during the night. Second level is if he slept the day before, because then Rebbe Akiva Eiger is one of them. There's 2 ways. The third level is if you're really stuck, you can't find anyone to make Birchas HaTorah. Veinu Tam. Excellent. Yes, and the person who goes on to sleep on the shifts, that's an interesting question.
What do you do if he works the night shift?
If he works the night shift, he gets up for the day shift. That's an interesting question, because maybe the Chazon Ish would agree, and this Reb Steinman is one of the biggest leaders today, he said that the Chazon Ish would agree that such a person would have to make Birchas HaTorah after he sleeps the day shift, because by him, that sleep is the sleep of the night. So you're right, that's an excellent point. But that's the only case where the Chazon Ish would agree, where he has that night shift. Okay.